Now they now come in different phases, ages, complexion and sexes, with no signs showing physical disability. Gone are the days where physically challenged persons are the only ones seen begging on the street. This act is gradually becoming more like a profession to many young people on the street, and it is a common thing to see children of school-going age being used as bait by some elderly persons to beg for alms in traffic. Nuisance or now a profession. Ifwa Evans Chinwe caught up with some beggars on the streets of Accra.
It is a common phenomenon to see people on the streets as beggars, especially children, who are seen helping older people who are physically challenged to beg. This is in spite of the laws that promote and protect the welfare of children. Most of these people are from slum communities in Accra and some West and Central African countries who have invaded the streets of Accra begging for alms to feed themselves and their families. These people, especially kids, are seen around all the busy places in the capital, notably the Accra Mall, La Paz, the Ring Road, Kwame Nkrumah Circle, Accra Central and all the other busy sites in the capital. Parents of these kids are seen normally sitting in shades with cloths covering their heads whilst their kids move around in the sunny traffic and walkways, risking their lives to beg for money. But are these people ready to get off the streets? Did she say she was going to drive us away from here? Is she going to get us another job? How are we going to survive? How are we going to make money? How are we going to feed our children? She must rethink her decision.
We don't have money. We are not leaving the street.
Some protests there. But did you know that giving out alms to these persons is illegal? Well, that is according to the Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection, Otiku Afisa-Japa. She has a 5-year plan to deal with streetism. But first, she's cautioning Ghanaians and foreigners to desist from giving alms to children and beggars on the street in order to help the ministry discharge its agenda of getting them off the street. Let's hear her now on the floor of Parliament.
To comprehensively deal with the issue of streetism and the Kaya menace, the ministry has recently launched an Operation Get Off the Streets Now for a Better Life campaign, which is aimed at mapping and creating a database of these groups to ascertain their numbers and characteristics, with the aim of designing tailor-made programs to address the varied causes of their challenges. The program will entail advocacy and sensitization at the community level for all children of school-going age to be in school, integration of children of school-going age into the school system, reintegration with families with psychological support, adult literacy, skills training, entrepreneurship development, financial literacy, and enhanced access to financial services. Some of them are foreigners, and so we are engaging Ministry of Foreign Affairs to find out whether we can send them back. If we can't, then in discussions, they will also have to be part of the shelters that we are talking about. Some of the children ran away from home. Some of them are orphans. And in discussions, we'll be able to find out whether there was abuse at home. Is that why they ran away? I met a young boy who had actually run away from home from Togo, and he walked and hitchhiked his way to Accra. Another boy comes from Ashama. Why is he on the streets? He said he didn't have a uniform. So we were able to locate his family, reintegrate him back, only for him to run back after 2 months. He was brought back to me. I asked him why. He said somebody stole his uniform. And so you have quite a number of recalcitrant children. And it's not something that you can just finish in one day. We have a 5-year plan to be able to work out, because these are sensitive areas. Why does a child keep running away from home back onto the street? And it's not good enough to just send them back. You need to have discussions with their families and reorient their minds, the psychological issues. And so we have a 5-year program to be able to organize all these things and eradicate streetism. It doesn't mean that they will no longer go back, but we will also talk a lot about the fact that it's a crime to actually be on the streets. And we are also in discussions with the various media houses to educate our people that begging is an offense, and that those of us who give to beggars must not continue to do that. And those of us who allow the young boys to clean the windscreens must also stop. Those of us who buy from the hawkers must stop. It's demand and supply. So we need to do a lot of advocacy, and that's what we are on.
So what do you think? Many of you have been reacting to this on social media. Let's get on Facebook to read a few of your responses and what you've been saying about this particular thing. So I'm starting with Nana Kofi Ganaba, and he says, instead of putting some policies in place to help them and to get them off the street, you're rather here talking trash. Ganapa, we have a long way to go, and yet you people will be the same people who go to other countries to beg for money. And he has some very harsh words for, I guess, the ministry and for the entire country. Winnie our Kwame Sapong said, what does that really mean? Alexander Maso says, deal with mental health, create jobs, and people will stop begging. Big Boy Knocking says, just wow. Cuckoo Boy says, this is very true. What these beggars don't understand is that they can do something with their lives rather than begging. Begging is not a job, and most of the time they are accompanied by people who can work to put food on their table. If begging wasn't lucrative, I don't think they would resort to it rather than finding something to do. And Adegoke Hakimashiru says, Madam Minister, when the country stops begging from foreign countries, citizens will also stop. Kwame Sapong says, Madam Minister, please, the approach has to be different. First, let citizens know the crime nature of loitering and the fine that goes with it when caught. But for those disabled, the system has to, well, you're talking about safety, create a safety net for them to get them off the street. Faisal. All right, so Kwame Sapong, you go on to say that to get them off the streets, get a low-cost housing with workers to assist them. You can't just sweep people off the street without providing alternative, especially the sick and disabled among us. Faisal says there's some truth in what she's saying. And Lawe Edward Mensah says they beg for money and you beg for votes. Georgina Osei Akomia is calling the minister a heartless woman. Nana Bat Cecil says, then close all children and orphanage homes. And you have some harsh words for the minister as well. Joe Biggs, if they got the opportunity you're getting, do you think they will even bother to come beg people like you? They aren't like you who always know where your next breakfast will come from. Give them the treatment. Victor Akpabli says, I think the minister is right. Isa Gustavo Alhaji 1G8 says, you're talking like, okay, really, Isa? Those are not printable words. Apia Kusi says, you talk finish. Ghana 60 years on deserves better, but it is still corrupt. You people are gradually wiping off any places poor Ghanaians find their daily bread, which has nothing to do with our economy. Ghana is 60, but don't forget about the King of Scotland in 19 years of second slavery. So deduct 19 out of 60. Well, I'm not quite sure what you're saying here, Mr. Kusi. But Abdul Hamid, the justice, says she's joking, right? And you put a question mark there. She didn't look like she was joking in Parliament, though, I must say. Adam Smith says, Madam Minister, we're paying you for nothing. Where is your empirical evidence that beggars on our street have wealth? I think we need a reshuffle at this moment, and you are urgent. Kofi Paul. Nuchuvi Ahiaglo is calling the minister's comments childish. you say that you can, or she can prevent beggars on the street, but not the philanthropist. In other words, policies as such will only undermine the humanist part of fabrics of our society. So if I get you right, Nichubi, you're basically saying that deal with the problem and allow people to give whatever alms they have to give to whoever they choose to give it to. Atakra Amenian Pombreto says, let's face facts. This woman is undoubtedly beautiful. Okay, so you are focusing more on her beauty. Asante Steven, you have a cool Land Cruiser, free rent, free security, and other benefits. That's why you could say such. Okay, you think what she's saying is nonsense? It's garbage. Okay, Fat Man God, he says, hey, power the sweet pa. Nanama Atakofi says, you're looking good in this hairstyle. Okay, all right. So some of you decide not to talk about the issues, but actually about the person. But majority of you think that government should do better for the people on the streets. House them, some of you are suggesting. Give them a house. Find social workers who can support them and see how you can get them off the streets that way, rather than preventing people from giving whatever it is that they have for them.